Joining me now is Drew Zimmerman, the CEO of Stallion Uranium. Great to see you, Drew. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today, Mark.
Okay, so broadly, you've got a large land package in the western part of the Athabasca Basin, multiple projects, including the Coffer project, which is north of the Arrow deposit, north of the Triple R deposit. So you seem to be nicely located. Can you give us a broad strokes snapshot overall of the company and the assets?
Yeah, absolutely. At the beginning of this year, we made two transactions to step into the basin and step in a big way. And then later this year, we did a joint venture agreement with Atha Energy to acquire another big portion. And again, our strategy has been to come into the basin and come in with a large land package. Again, we think this is the best real estate in the world when you're looking for uranium. So getting the 3,000 square kilometer land package that we did was our big first initiative. And it was taking that strategy of starting with a big land package, doing effective and efficient work on that package to have the best potential target zones and priority target areas that we could in the Southwest Basin. And again, we wanted to focus on the Southwest because we thought it was underexplored, but still had world-class deposits, as you mentioned, with NextGen's Rook deposit or Arrow discovery and Fission's Triple R, and most recently the JR zone of F3 uranium. So there's a lot of exciting things going on the western side of the basin, and we hope to be a big part of that going forward as we have kicked off our exploration efforts this year.
Okay, so you're planning a 3,000 meter drill program at Coffer in the new year. You detailed a bit of it there. Obviously, you're trying to identify targets. What's the overall plan there in terms of what you're targeting?
Yeah, exactly. Going right back to our strategy, it was starting big. So we did a regional survey over all of our 100% owned ground. That's been completed. That gave us several key target areas to focus in on. And the one that we think is our highest priority, we're calling our Appaloosa target. It's right at the north end of the Coffer project. It's about 12 kilometers straight east of the Shea Creek deposit, which is 95 million pounds in the ground. Uranium Energy Company and Orano owning that. So with that strategy of locating that, we've now actually just this morning mobilized crews to do a ground survey. So we started really big and wide with the regional helicopter surveys. Now we're doing a much more focused in survey that will inform our drill targeting. Again, we know the area we want to be drilling. This just gives us a high resolution look so that we can really enhance the probability of success with this drill program. And that drill program that we're trying to get going will be Q1 of 2024 next year. So the start of next year, as you mentioned, a 3,000 meter program is what we're looking at for 3 holes, roughly 1,000 meters each. So we're going to go through about 800 meters of sandstone into the unconformity to test for basement hosted mineralization as well. But really excited about that. I mean, drilling in the basin can have a significant impact on your company if you're able to find a discovery like we think we can. And we're just doing the work to prove that out before we get there.
Drew, you mentioned the joint venture with Atha Energy. You've done some airborne surveys on that land package so far. What's the thinking behind and the strategy behind that arrangement? And what are the next steps with that?
Yeah, I mean, we're still in the process of doing an airborne survey over that ground. I mean, it's important to remember when you go big, I mean, we're covering 2,200 square kilometers with that survey. So it's a significant land package. And again, it made a lot of sense for us to do the deal with Atha Energy. One, it gave us significant scale in the Western Basin where we've been focused. So we picked up all of their Southwest Basin assets. It gave us continuity between some of our projects. We already had several different projects in the West, and the Atha ground connected several of those projects. So it allowed us to step in and explore at scale and use that efficiency. And again, we think to be able to go over land that really hasn't been explored or explored well ever, never been drill tested, to be able to step in and do efficient, effective exploration to really look for that next significant discovery in the basin. And that deal with Atha allowed us to do that. It allowed us to put together the single largest land package in the area. And now we're just going through our roadmap to execute on that process to try and make that next significant discovery.
You mentioned just a second ago about the growth potential in the basin. We've seen it before with the next gens and the fissions and the F3s most recently. Stock markets love it when we see discoveries. Discoveries matter, obviously. So a perfect world as you look out and you get deeper into drilling, and if you do make a discovery or two, what's the blue sky scenario for Stallion as you envision it?
Yeah, as you just mentioned, Mark, I mean, just in the southwest side of the basin, I mean, there's been an incredible value that's been created there. And I like to point out that, it was only a decade ago, 10 years ago, really, that the fission uranium found the triple R deposit, and NextGen after that. So, I mean, Fission's created a $800 million company on the back of that. NextGen, $4.5 billion. And most recently, F3 uranium at 180 million after their discovery hole, really this time last year. So the upside potential is definitely there. It's massive. As you alluded to, the uranium market, the underlying commodity price is going up because we need more uranium. That fundamental story continues to get better week in, week out. So we think the potential for us is definitely there. It's huge. And keep in mind, with our land package, we have stepped into the basin. So we are looking, through a little bit more sandstone, but that gives us the potential to find all three uranium types, as well as the fact that we are looking for that next big deposit, that Cigar Lake, that McArthur River. So if we're able to execute on that and make that happen, I mean, that is a absolutely incredibly, game-changing discovery, and the upside there is really untold, especially with the market tailwinds that we have today.
Drew, you've got an experienced team, including Stephen Stanley as an advisor, former CEO of the Hathor, who of course was instrumental in helping to sell that company to Rio Tinto several years ago for $650 million. So that deep bench and that experience, how does that differentiate you from peers, do you think?
Yeah, I think the best example of that is, we started this process to get into the basin a year and a half or so ago, and that culminated with the transactions we did at the beginning of this year. But it was that team, the group that put together Hathor, as well as other key team members that, made that happen. You don't step into the basin, a very competitive landscape, and build out the most significant, the largest Southwest Basin exploration package by mistake and without knowing the right people. So I think that first and foremost is just a testament to what we've already done. And as we continue to move through our roadmap, I think, you're seeing us execute on the roadmap that we had, starting with the big regional surveys. Now we're getting down to focusing in, be kicking off a drill program. And with our Atha joint venture regional survey kicking off, we'll have a lot more target areas to be going after that. So again, it's the proof is in the pudding when you've got guys that have been here and done what we're trying to do over the next couple of years here. It's going to be pretty exciting, but yeah, it always goes a long way when you've got a strong team behind you, and we're very fortunate to have that here at Stallion.
So we've been talking all about the uranium assets. You also have gold assets, of course, one in Idaho, one in Nevada. They're near other companies with deposits, Perpetua and 180, respectively, in Idaho and Nevada. So what's the plan overall with the gold assets? Are you looking to prove them out and sell them? Do you consider them core, non-core? What's the plan exactly?
They are both tremendous assets. Over the last year, we've had a very low CapEx strategy on them. So I've kind of, called them sort of aces in my back pocket. But especially as we've seen, gold prices really start to pick up just last week, hitting new all-time highs and very close to that now. We think there's, a significant amount of value that can be created with those packages. Again, as you mentioned, next to Perpetua and I-80 both with significant catalysts coming in the coming months that we think will be a big value driver for both of those assets. So we are currently evaluating different opportunities to look to advance those projects. That being said, Stallion Uranium, our focus is on our work in the Athabasca Basin. That's our time, our energy, our capital is going there. So we're evaluating ways that we can advance the gold projects and still have the upside for our shareholders, because we think there is a tremendous amount of value in both of those assets to be had, especially as gold prices start to go. And we think, the gold equity prices will come to follow. So we're evaluating those now. It just likely won't be, a significant outlay of any kind within the Stallion Uranium vehicle, but being able to look at ways to get those advanced and realize that value for our shareholders.
On the personal and professional side, you still appear to be quite a young gentleman. You worked as an advisor. You were a derivatives PM, and you had a macro view of commodities. So, and that was your lens at the time. So I'm just wondering how that experience informs your role at Stallion, and the fact that this is more entrepreneurial. What do you bring to the table based on that background that you can use at Stallion?
Yeah, I think a great example of that was, being involved in, the macro commodity markets for a decade. One of the key takeaways that you learn as you go through that is when, big trends start to happen and when there's a good fundamental story behind what's happening, you just need to really lean in to that trend because they continue to go and quite often go a lot further than most people think they ever will go. So, when we started to see uranium prices pick up in the last couple of years, and we thought the fundamental story was there and building behind uranium, that was our decision to move into the basin. Obviously, a team with a lot of experience there helped guide that decision. But it's really now just leaning into that because we think we're still early innings on where this uranium market can go. And I think it's going to go a lot further than people ever think it can or it will. So there's definitely that aspect to recognize those trends and having the confidence to be able to go all in on them. I think that's key. And then again, being an advisor, getting my CFA designation over a decade, you understand how the junior space works, what investors and clients are looking for in that space. And it's being able to position Stallion, I think, to really check a lot of those boxes. So one, having that mission statement of what we're doing, what we're trying to create in the basin, how hard we're leaning into the uranium story, and then being able to execute on all the other boxes that investors want to see checked. So it's definitely a change when I jumped to Stallion 3 years ago, leaving the career of being a top broker at a national firm. But it's been an exciting one, and it's been an incredible opportunity to build what Stallion is, and incredibly excited, more so now than any time before, about what we have coming in front of us.
Well, this has been an insightful conversation for those who may not be that familiar with the company. Just lastly here, Drew, can you summarize your thoughts in, say, 30 to 45 seconds in terms of why investors should be paying attention to Stallion?
Absolutely. I think, we offer a significant amount of upside in a uranium market that has just started to go. So we've executed on our strategy of going big with the best real estate in the world in the Athabasca Basin. We've taken that large package, doing regional surveys on it. We've already started to follow our roadmap, moving towards focusing in on key target areas, our Appaloosa target. And again, for investors, the near exciting thing will be kicking off a drill program in Q1 of next year. As we mentioned earlier in the show, the significant re-rate, not only that can happen overnight, but in the years after discovery in the basin is truly outstanding and unmatched when it comes to other commodities. So it's going to be an exciting time for us. There's a lot going, tailwinds in the uranium industry right now. And I think importantly for people to remember is we've got a team behind us that's, been there, done that. They've taken this path and created a tremendous amount of shareholder value. And we're looking to do the same again with Stallion.
Well, as you said, F3 uranium is the most recent example about a year ago. And literally a week or two before their discovery, I talked to Devron Howa, their CEO at the Red Cloud Fall Mining Showcase. Next thing you know, within several weeks, they had a 7-bagger on their hands. So as you said, those kinds of things can happen. Great to talk to you today, Drew.
Exactly. Well, I hope we can have that same thing happen at the pre-PDAC conference with Red Cloud, and we'll be saying the same story afterwards.
All right, and this time I'm not gonna miss that run. I'm gonna maybe put a couple pennies in there. Thanks again, Drew.
Thanks for having me on, Mark. Appreciate it.
All right, great stuff. Drew Zimmerman, he's the CEO of Stallion Uranium. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.